is the Unleash Your Purpose podcast.
Today we're going to be talking about how do we make better decisions as a leader. So we think about 2024, we look forward to this last year of 2023. How do we as leaders make decisions more effectively, more quickly, and more with more confidence as we look forward to this next year? How do we take our strides to the next level? So my hope is that this is super practical for you. And number two is super helpful. Hopefully everyone had at least a day off to be with their family for Christmas and had a time to celebrate. This Christmas, my family, we went up to Flagstaff for a couple days and we decided to take them snowboarding. Has anyone snowboarded before? Okay, it's a dangerous sport, let me tell you that. I could have a bunch of photos of my kids falling, and I would never show you a picture of me falling because that would never happen, right? But I spent more than half my time on the ground. But we went snowboarding, and by the end of the time, I am the dad of the year. I would really say that I am probably the best dad around, and I really do make my kids really proud. But these ones right here, they were good enough to go on the blues. So they were saying, hey, we're gonna go to the next level up. We've never done this before, okay? We decide that we are warriors and we are adventurous. So we get off the lift and we start going down, and there is this, in one of the mountains, it's totally flat. So it's called a catwalk. Has anyone ever done a catwalk before? A catwalk is like, if you fall, you're screwed. So my daughter and I are trying to go down and just keep falling, and she's getting stuck, and I'm getting frustrated because I'm the most patient dad around. Like, come on, girl, get up, move. And she keeps falling, and then people behind us who are the pros, because once you get to those level of blues, people actually know what they're doing, and they're yelling at us, and I'm getting embarrassed. I'm getting embarrassed because I am not that bad, but my kids are terrible. They are making the center's name look terrible. They are an embarrassment, and I want to make sure I get down this mountain as quickly as possible to save myself from any more stairs and cuss. I mean, they're just cussing at us. It was an adventure. So we finally get through the catwalk and we start going downhill, and now she starts to get going, and then my younger son starts getting stuck. I'm like, son of a because I'm the last one down. I gotta make sure my kids are safe, right? But finally, at the end of this thing, I'm like, screw it, kids. I cannot wait for y'all anymore. So I just say, I'm gonna take off and get going. And I say, see you later, I'll meet you down at the bottom, thinking that's a good way of kids to learn discipline, right? And learn how to to make it happen. And what happened? I'm waiting at the bottom of the hill, All my kids have come back. It's time to get in the car, and this guy is missing. Where, did he go down another trail? Where the heck is this kid at? Waiting. All of a sudden I see lights flashing and a motorcade with a stretcher in the back. My son was going down the hill as slow as can be and was not keeping up with traffic, and a 18-year-old kid on skis rammed into him full speed. Luckily, he's all right. But then the only thing he says to me when we walk out, Dad, you didn't wait for me. Well, if your sister wasn't so dang slow, I would have waited for you. So of course I didn't accept any responsibility and blamed it on my daughter for why he got hurt, right? And when I think about making decisions in our life, sometimes you got to be a little more thoughtful than just what you want to do in the moment. And so today we're looking at the impact that we made for this last year, but most importantly, how this is super practical of ways to make decisions. But as we look back to 2023, we're going to talk about the impact that we had. I asked my team this morning, say, hey, give me some numbers of what things this last year. If you were around, you know last year has been really exciting, sometimes a little bit challenging, but as we look forward to it, here's the impact of this last year. Last year, we had 379 kids placed in our homes. That's 379 kids that were safe and had a loving home and hopefully experienced some growth. That's good. Clap it up for that. Yeah. That's 379. We added 9 DDD homes. Over 50 DDD members were part of our Ohana family to get to experience hope, healing, and take their life to the next level and have purpose for their life. That's great. 50 members, yeah. That's huge. Us as a team, what does that look like for us? We have all of these youth and members that we support. We increased our team from 400 team members to 500 in 1 year. That's a 20% growth. That's great. For us as a team, what does that mean? How many, from a numbers perspective, if you care about this, some of you don't, that costed the organization in payroll and making sure that everyone gets a paycheck. In the 500 families that we supported, that was $14.5 million. And just in November, or just in December, most of you guys got bonuses, and we had a skinny little margin left, a little bit of money left. And we said, no, it's not for us, it's for you guys. And we gave out $250,000 to you guys in December. So thank you guys for that. Yeah. Within our adoptable youth program, 70 kids were looking for forever families. 10 of them last year found their forever family. That's right, that's amazing. Yeah. We were, in the end of the year, awarded the extended foster care contract. Our goal was that we would have about 40 kids this month. We're going to be trailing by, and we hope to have 200 kids in our program by the end of the year. With, I know Austin's very excited. We'll have 200 kids by next month. So it's amazing. We're growing a ton. 40% of our kids are active at GCU and church nights. We're going to continue to grow that. We had 15 kids graduate high school, get promoted. We had 190 kids go on a vacation to California last year that had never experienced a vacation before. This is the impact that you guys are making that is significant. In a few weeks, we're all going to winter camp. That number will be like 300 of us all go to winter camp and experience hope, dignity, have a blast, and have a moment for us just to enjoy God's creation, the snow, and have a lot of fun together. So the impact of 2023 was significant thanks to you guys. Clap it up for all you guys. That's right. Transitional housing launched. We had 22 kids in our work program. We have 10 in our transitional housing program. It'll triple this year. And then, yes, it will, Marcus, maybe quadruple. And then we have 5 working at Hanai. So as you saw, these articles, we just had last week, people have heard about all of what you guys are doing. CBS National News, the morning show with, what's that lady's name? Gayle King. They came out last week to record a whole story on Ohana and Hanai. And it's airing with Gayle in a few weeks here. After the caucuses and all that, and the Super Bowl. So we'll let you know when it airs, so that'll be really cool. So for us as individuals, today we're gonna look at this. I'm gonna explain 5 ways you can make better decisions this year. So I'll send this out to you guys. This is what you can use for your team. My hope is this, your job is to pick one to make a better decision this year. These are things that I have learned as a leader as I'm growing, and I've taken these from other leaders that I highly respect, and I put these into practice. So first one, the first thing that you can do to become a better leader and make a better decision is to detach. Okay, what does that mean? Detach. Detach is this. I learned this from Jocko. He was a military guy from the Navy SEALs, and he gives a good illustration of this. He says, when he was in war, I'll show you this in a second. When he was in war, he has a sniper rifle, okay? A sniper rifle looking down the barrel of the gun, and he can only see what he's pointed at. And every single sniper was looking out through their scope of their gun, and no one knew what to do. Do I go left or right? Is an enemy coming at me? I do not know. I am so focused on the moment that everyone was stuck. So what he had to do is detach himself, pull himself away. And as a leader, this is very hard for us to do, is when we have a decision to make, what we have to do is detach. Here's Jocko, listen to that.
It was like a superpower to be able to see what was happening and make decisions. We were doing a training operation. We get into this tactical situation. Everyone in my platoon is focused on one area. Everyone's looking down their weapons, waiting for a threat to expose itself. And I'm waiting for someone to make a call. I was a new guy. I'm waiting for someone above me in the chain of command to say, move here, or hey, move forward, or make some kind of a decision. And as I'm waiting, no one's doing it. So I'm a new guy. I'm scared to say anything, and I know I shouldn't say anything, so I'm just waiting, and no one's giving an order. No one's giving any direction. So I wait longer. And this goes on for probably 30 seconds or a minute. And finally I said to myself, all right, I'm gonna see what's going on. So I actually point my weapon at the ceiling, and I take a step back, and I just look around. And I see that everyone is just focused on their weapons, and no one's making a decision. And because I'm looking around, and I'm detached from the scenario, just by 8 inches, I stepped back and looked around. I can see what decision needs to be made. And I said, hold left, clear right. And sure enough, the guys in the left held and the guys in the right cleared. And we got done, and instead of someone saying, hey, you need to keep your mouth shut, like one of the more senior guys said, hey, good job up there, way to make a call. So I looked at it and I said, wait a second, how could I as a new guy, have made a decision in that situation that was better than what the more senior, more experienced guys were making? And I realized it was because I took a step back and detached from it. At that moment, I said to myself, okay, from now on, when I get into these tactical scenarios, I'm gonna take a step back, and I'm gonna try and detach myself from the chaos and the mayhem. It was like a superpower to be able to see what was happening and make decisions. And I started actually just detaching all the time. And that became a very powerful tool in leadership that I use to this day.
That's right. So think about this. When you have to make a hard decision in your life, when you have to make a decision at work, I get emotionally involved in it. I feel it because I am in it. Just this last week, I had to have a hard conversation with a team member. Has anyone had to have a hard conversation with a team member? Do we avoid it sometimes? All the time, right? When I have to have a hard conversation with a team member, it makes me anxious, it makes me nervous. There is nothing I want to do about it. When I have to talk to that youth that they're not living up to the expectations that they're supposed to have, and they're going to get pissed off and frustrated, I want to avoid it. I want to not deal with it because I feel involved. I love them, but I have to detach. My son, 14-year-old, is starting to date. He's texting a girl, and he's talking on the phone upstairs. He didn't tell me about this girl. Daddy don't like that. We have this open communication. We have a family that we are like, I'm fine with you talking to a girl. So I asked him one day, I says, who are you talking to on the phone? Nobody. Oh, you little bastard, you're lying to me. Played it cool. I'm getting fired up. He's lying. I'm like, I heard you on the phone. And I let it go. And then the next day, Sarah says, did you hear our son talking on the phone? I go, he was talking on the phone, wasn't he? This little guy. So in the moment, it's been a betrayal on me. Like, my son has lied to me, and I am so frustrated with it. So what do I want to do? Come down on him hard, right? Because I'm attached to the situation. But I had to take a step back for a moment. Give myself a breath, take a moment, breathe, reset, and think of the end in mind. What do I want for my son? Okay, I want him to learn how to be a young man that honors women, that knows how to date well, that knows how to treat women with respect, that learns how to date, and all these things. That's the most important thing. Okay, this is an opportunity to learn. So I went back and had a conversation with him calmly 2 hours later, and guess what he said? He says, Dad, I'm sorry, I should have been honest. And then later that night, he says, can I talk to you about this girl? Yeah, let's talk about it. Why? Because I had to detach from the situation. Us, as leaders, when you are making a decision, you are like a lifeguard. You are at the public pool, and you are thinking to yourself, I'm up at the top, okay? A lifeguard should be up here. But most of us as leaders, we love to be swimming with the kids. We love to be swimming with our staff, and we're in the water swimming around, and guess what? Someone's drowning over on the left side. I can't see it. So detaching means I got to pull myself up, I got to sit at the top, and I got to pull away and detach from the situation. Okay? When you got to make a hard decision, you got to learn to detach. You got to get perspective, and you got to reset. So this year, when you have hard decisions, do not avoid, detach, and then engage it. Okay? That's decision number one. How to make better decisions, detach. Number two, Here's ways to detach. Literally take a step back, go for a walk, take a minute, reset, phone a friend. Sometimes you gotta have a trust person like, do you know what this kid is doing? Do you know what this staff did to me? Do you understand how frustrated I am? Sometimes I just need to vent for a moment with a safe, trusted person and then come back and reset in a positive way. That's okay. Think of the end in mind. What am I trying to accomplish with this person? When this individual in this moment, I had to have a hard conversation with staff, a high up leader wasn't cutting it. I feel awkward. I don't want to do it. I have to detach myself. I care about this person. But there is situations that these are the expectations. We're not reaching the expectations. So what do? Okay, I have to detach myself to be rational and thoughtful. As leaders, sometimes we are too immature because we are too emotional. And you have to pull yourself out of it, okay? Number 2 is GETMO. Say it with me. GETMO. All right, the second way to make better decisions this year is GETMO. I stole this from Greg Rochelle from a leadership institute or global leadership summit years ago, and it stood with me forever. GETMO, it stands for this: good enough to move on. Say it with me. Good enough to move on. Who's a perfectionist in this room? Who's a perfectionist? Who loves things to be right? Perfect. Yes. When you write your report, it needs to be good. Oh, your makeup needs to look on point. You spend overtime on that. And you're like, no, I don't. I have our daughter trying out or getting ready to do competitions for cheer right now. I have never seen someone spend more time on makeup in my entire life. It needs to be perfect. Right? This is for our friends in the room that have this insatiable need to be perfect. Everything to be right. Okay? There are sometimes things need to be perfect. Brain surgeons, perfect. None of y'all are brain surgeons. Okay? Medications, close to perfect. Making sure you got enough kids, the right number of kids in the car. Don't leave any at home. Yeah, it's probably good. But most other things, GETMO, okay? Good enough to move on. Generally, if you have 69% of the information, 69% to make a decision, you need to step. You need to move forward in that. For me, when I am getting ready, say I'm getting ready for this talk, if I do no prep, that's not good for anyone. If I prep 2 hours, I'm like 60% there. If I prep 4 hours, I'm like 80% there. If I prep 10 hours, I'm like 85% there. Which amount of time is most worth my while? Okay, you have to learn that there is a certain amount of time where there's a diminishing rate of return on your decision, on your attention. So for some of us in our room, we have to learn to, way to say it is shit or get off the pot. We need to make the decision and move forward. We need to get it out of the oven. We need to ship it out and get going. So GETMO. All right. Winston Churchill said this. He said, perfection is the enemy of progress. I'm launching a website, and this is my problem. Mandy is a perfectionist, but she's worse. I guess I'm worse than her. I have literally looked at this website 100 times and made people change it because it's not good enough. This should have been launched a month ago but I have not, because I need to keep fixing it and keep changing it and keep doing things. Why? Because I had this idea of perfectionism, and so do you. The definition of perfectionism of Brené Brown is this. Perfectionism is, you need to let this sink in, a self-destructive and addictive belief that fuels the primary thought. If I look perfect, if I do everything perfectly, I can avoid pain, shame, judgment, and blame. Some of us feel shame and judgment and feel like we are not good enough, so that's why we perfect everything. And you have to GETMO. That is, perfectionism is the enemy of progress, and we all want to have progress and go to our version 2.0 of ourselves, and you will never be 2.0 of yourself and a better version, a better leader, if you continue to just stay stuck and be perfect. Nothing will be perfect. Nothing will be fully done. Here at Ohana, we have to GETMO. You have to. Brene Brown says this, I'm a recovering perfectionist and an aspiring good enough-ish. Okay? It sounds horrible. Does anyone else that just feels horrible to your skin to think about? You gotta GETMO. Good enough-ish is gotta be good enough-ish. Okay? Because listen to this, our top resources are not money, it's time and energy. And guess what? To get things to 80% to 100% is gonna take twice as much time as it is to go to 0 to 80%. Okay? There is a diminishing rate of return. There is a curve that starts to happen that you cannot continue to improve at the rate you want to. So perfectionists, GETMO. Another way for our perfectionists, if you are a perfectionist and you struggle with making decisions, you need to make a decision to decide when you're going to decide. I have to decide when to let go of that employee. I have to decide when to have the hard conversation. I have to decide when I'm going to do that PowerPoint with the team. I have to decide on where the location is going to be. All of these decisions, what happens when you have to make a decision is your brain, you're worrying. Guess what happens when you don't make a decision? You sleep. How's you sleeping? Horrible, right? I'm dreaming about all the decisions I did not make. Where I want to move. Do I have another kid? Is this going to work out? How do I get my health online? I'll start the diet next week. And guess what? Your brain never rests because you never close the loop. So in order for those perfectionists in the room, you have to make a decision when to decide. So for me, I give myself artificial deadlines. I will decide about this team member or make this decision on Thursday. I will not leave until Thursday. I have to do a report, and it's not perfect. The website is not ready to go. This thing is not ready to make it happen. I have to decide that today is the day. I will give my 15 more minutes to worry about it, and then I will GETMO. You have to. Give yourself artificial deadlines. Decide when you're going to decide. And sometimes deciding not to make a decision is okay if you say, I am not going to decide this until Friday. It closes the loop in your brain, so then you can reduce your anxiety and then make a decision later on. Leaders, you have to learn, your brain, it's like a cup. You can only have so much things in your mind of decisions you don't make. Your anxiety continues to fill you, be full, that you're then stuck. You only have a finite amount of decisions to make. It's called decision fatigue. Psychologists, we talk about it all the time. If you don't make a decision because you're a perfectionist, you will be exhausted, you won't sleep well, and you won't live up to that version 2.0. Okay? So GETMO, decide when you're gonna decide. Number 3 and 4 are the same. They're together. Ooh, good combo. All right. Number 3, delegate. Delegate decisions. And number 4 is increase your tolerance for mistakes. If you are a leader, you have to learn to delegate decisions, and I am still learning this, okay? And then increase your tolerance for mistakes. Some of us have just gotten to a management role. Some of us have been managers for a while, and we are perfectionists, and we do not want to release control. You will be the limit of whatever you are doing. You are the lid of that situation. You have to learn to delegate decisions. In the short run, delegating is risky. What if they don't do it right? They may not. What if they don't do it as well as I did? They probably won't. It's risky, but it's necessary if you want to grow. Craig Rochelle says this, if you don't delegate decisions, you will never develop leaders. You will never develop leaders, and guess what? They will call you all the time. I would used to get calls when we first started Ohana day and night. If you are a leader, hear this. If you are a leader and you get calls from your staff all day long, it's because you haven't delegated. It's because you have not empowered your other team to step up. Because you hold on to it and because you're a perfectionist. And guess what? You always talk about how stressed you are. You always talk about how overworked you are and how overwhelmed you are. And guess what? It's on you. Many leaders overestimate the risk of a bad decision. We always think the worst is going to happen. But what we do is we underestimate the cost of making no decision. The most powerful thing you can say as a leader to your team is this: I want us to practice this year to make a better decision. You have a leader, it's going to be hard. To your assistant manager, hey, what do we do for dinner? Hey, what do we do about the expense reports? Hey, what do we do about how do I get them enrolled in school? How do I do this? How do I train up someone? What decision do I make? 2 words we're going to practice. Andy Stanley says this, he coined it. If you got to make a decision, the most important thing you can do is say, you decide. Let your staff decide. You have to delegate decisions. It's different than delegating tasks is different than actual delegating responsibility. Delegating tasks is like, hey, can you go run this errand for me? I'm not talking about that. I'm telling, let them make a decision about what to do. You decide. It's scary, but it's the only way to kind of rise up. Delegating decisions is different than delegating tasks. If you think you are the only one that can make a decision, you are overinflating yourself. If you think you are the only one that can make a decision, you think you are more important than you are. We need to have a life, we need to develop our leaders, and we need to reduce the amount of phone calls that we get day in, day out. So you have to delegate decisions. Amen to that? Mm-hmm. Preaching for the people in the back. Uh-huh. Last one is this. Every year when we get together, we pick a word of the year. So in a minute, you guys are going to pick a word that represents your year, okay? If you guys pass out the papers, that'd be great. Listen to this. So, number 5, in order to make good decisions this year, you must, 1, focus in. What does focus in mean? In order to make good decisions, you must focus in. You must not just reflect on the past, but you have to look towards what I'm going to focus on for this future. 1% a year, improve it 1% a year, every year, and you'll be a new person. My word of the year last year was health. Another year was sustainability. My word for this year, and as Sarah and I have been praying through it and talking together, is for me and myself is impact. What does it mean to have impact? Ohana has gotten to a mature organization. We're very respected in the space, but how do we make impact? And bigger than that for me is I have to think of myself personally too. Like not just as someone that is a part of the Ohana family, but my life. Like what is my word for my life? And so if you know anything about Ohana, we do a lot of things. And what God has told me to do is this. He says, Ryan, narrow your focus to broaden your impact. That's really hard for me to hear because I can do a lot of things and I like to do a lot of stuff. But the word of the year that I said is narrow my focus to broaden my impact. Do less so I can impact more. So this year I've had to make hard decisions about maybe getting rid of some projects, some gyms that I've owned for years because God is breaking through in big ways at Ohana, and I have to be so laser focused on that. So my word is impact. And part of the impact is like, how do we be impactful? So Sarah and I are launching our podcasts and our websites and so this is one of, I don't even know what this is, but this is.
My hope is that this will become an encouragement to all of us as we grow together to become our best versions of ourselves. I always think we're in our 1.0, but we got to get to that 2.0 self. We got to continue to grow to make ourselves better. And that is, for me, I'm relentlessly pursuing that in every part of my life.
This was supposed to launch January 1, but I need to GETMO, right? So it's gonna launch by this week. But for me, impact is, what am I supposed to be about? What am I supposed to do to impact that? So shameless plug, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to the podcast. It launches very soon, and look us up. So for you, what is the area of life for your word of the year? Where can you have impact? So I'll leave you with this. You're going to pick a word of the year, and then I'm going to ask you to share your word in our Slack channel and why you picked it. Oh, geez. I don't want to do that. No, well, too bad. It's good for us. It's good for us. It's good for us to self-reflect, okay? So pick your word. What is one area of my life that I want to make an impact? To be a better version of myself? Is it, do I want to grow my leadership, become more organized? I want to prioritize my health. I want to get healing from a past relationship. I want to deal with past trauma. I want to find peace. I want to push over a fear. I want to go back to school. Start a goal. Save. Be present. Go all in for God. What is it? What is the thing that will make an impact for you this year? What is the thing that will take you, that you say, when I reflect back to 2024, that was a year of victory. That was a year of impact and growth. What does that year look like? And for us, we have to push in and we have to be thoughtful. We can't just float around like a balloon in the air, just waiting for something to happen. No, I'm gonna be like a dagger. I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna be intentional and do something with my life. Questions to think about. What am I missing in my life? Where's my life headed? Do you like the path you're on, or do you want to change it? What, if any, lies do you tell yourself? What goals do you have for your personal life? What goals do you have for your professional life? A bunch of words. I'm going to leave a minute on the screen. You don't have to decide this moment, but here are some words. Play some music in the background. And I ask you guys to have 1 minute to not speak, to think to yourself, what is the word of your year? Okay? Is it abundance? Is it balance? Is it bliss? You can mindlessly go through life, or you can choose to grow, but you cannot do both.
Thanks for joining us for the Unleash Your Purpose podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. We'll see you next week.